Actually, the government is taking away one vaccine after another in the government service. Like Rota has gone, Meningococcal is going, Penta already left. So now practicing pediatricians are to bank for their bread and butter on Japanese encephalitis and meningococcal conjugate vaccine. So it is necessary that you know ins and outs of all these vaccines. And whenever you consider any vaccine, always remember the Nescafe approach, which means you should know about the need of the vaccine, efficacy of the vaccine, safety, cost effectiveness, affordability to the patient, feasibility in the schedule, and ethical issues. And that P stands for place of the vaccine in the life of the child, whether he needs or no. Now, let us see something about the Neisseria meningitidis. Actually, one of the child was asked as to, what is the meaning of diplococcus. So he said that my father and mother are very toxic. Always they get together in a capsule and trouble me like anything. This diplococcus is like that. And parents are many times negative. So it's a gram-negative diplococcus in a capsule, and that capsule has a lipo-oligosaccharide which is having endotoxin. And there are some 13 serogroups, and A, B, C, Y, W and X are responsible for most of the outbreaks. And it causes about 500,000 cases annually, and the incidence varies region by region. Now in US, it is less than 0.5 per 100,000, that is 1 lakh. Less than 1 in 100,000 in Europe, and 10 to 1,000 per 100,000 during the epidemic years in Africa. So the incidence differs, and with incidence of less than 0.5 also, some countries provide routine immunization like US. So the question is to think whether the incidence is important or whether the damage due to disease is important. What about India? Remember to target those particularly where it matters most. So there is prevalence of serogroup A. It accounts for 80 to 85% of all the meningitis epidemics in this region, and it occurs at an interval of 8 to 10 years. And it mainly affects the infants, young children and the adolescents. If you see, the epidemic outbreaks, they have occurred in Delhi, also in Meghalaya and Tripura, particularly to the northeast. This is the dangerous disease which affects the adult and the child, but it can happen to anyone, anytime. And it is fatal in about 20% and long-term sequelae in about 10 to 20%. Remember this figure 20, it is true for almost everything in case of meningococcal meningitis. I will come to it a little later. The point you should remember that the disease is dangerous in infancy, because there are no antibodies from the mother. The vaccine gives protection, but the immunity wanes after 3 to 8 years. And that's why the child is very much vulnerable in the first years of life, particularly the infant. And the carriers are the adolescents and the young adults, and they have very low antibodies. Even if they have received the vaccine in their childhood, they do not continue to have the antibodies in their adolescent age. So this is important. So if you concentrate on the infants and very young children, young population below 2, you will eradicate or rather control the disease in that group. But you cannot have the adolescents covered with that strategy. So whether to give the vaccine to the adolescents also. So there is always a change and a shuffling of the policies in various countries like UK, where they started initially with 3 doses, then they came to 2, then they started 1+1, and so many changes were made. Now there are various vaccines, the polysaccharide and the conjugate. Now the polysaccharide and conjugate, most of you know that the protection offered after conjugation is always better. Like the capsular polysaccharide, C stands for the class teacher and P stands for the private tuition. So when you have conjugation of class teacher and private tuition, protection is always better. T cell dependent response, immune memory is very good, the protection persists, there is boostability, and hyper-responsiveness, which is a feature of these polysaccharide vaccines, is not there in case of conjugate vaccines. And the boostability, as you can see from the slide, with the polysaccharide vaccine there is hyper-responsiveness. What about conjugate vaccine? There is one place in our world, that is sub-Saharan Africa, where there is a meningitis belt which goes from Senegal to other place, and there Serum Institute of India, which is placed in Pune, they gave Menafrivac, that was a vaccine for prevention of meningitis A, and it was introduced in December 10, and it was given to 1 to 28-year-olds, and then now it is licensed for infants also. However, this vaccine is not available for the Indian population. Menectra, which is the Sanofi product, which is ACYW conjugate, it is approved for the ages of 9 months to 55 years. Between 9 to 23 months, we give 2 doses 3 months apart, and between 2 to 55 years, it's only a single dose. It is available in India. and it is targeting serogroup A along with C, W and Y. Now many of you will be thinking, if I give only A, what is the problem? Remember, there is no cross protection, and that is why every child has to receive all these serogroup protections. And in India, we have different serogroups, and the safety and the immunogenicity of this vaccine has been demonstrated in the Indian population. There is a vaccine called Meningococcal from GSK, and it is indicated for 2 years and above in India. Currently it is not available, but it has a comparable safety and efficacy. Now the recommendations are actually for the individual country. US recommends this vaccine routinely for adolescents. And some countries like Australia and China, the age of recommendation starts from infancy. And this ACYW conjugate vaccine can be given from 2 months of age, depending on the country's recommendation. Routinely used in the US to vaccinate the adolescents between 11 to 18 and all the college freshmen living in the dormitory. You know, dormitory is a closed room. There is also a risk factor like smoking or a binge drinking, which aggravates the risk of meningococcal infection. And other persons, particularly 2 months up to 55 years of age, at increased risk of invasive meningococcal disease, which I will come to in a minute. What are the recommendations for the outbreak? Remember, both the conjugate and the polysaccharides are recommended for the control of outbreaks. And outbreak is defined as 3 or more confirmed or probable primary cases in a period of less than 3 months and a primary attack rate of more than 10 per 100,000 population. The outbreak may be sudden, but the predisposing factor starts much before. So we need to be prepared, and preventive measures like vaccination should be opted well in time. Now where to give? As I told you, in the areas with high endemicity, WHO says that any area where there has been an outbreak in the past 20 years is supposed to be a high risk area, you should give it there. So you should know your region and rely on the data available. This is that meningitis belt that I was speaking about. When Meningococcal, this conjugate A vaccine was given in this belt, somehow A was controlled, but then W serogroup came up, and that's why it is also necessary to cover other groups now in these regions. Now the million-dollar question is whom to give. As from the ACVIP recommendation, infants have been rather recommended to be given after 9 months. Now the recommendations are very, very excellent, which have come up during 2018 and 19. I will come to it in a minute. And adolescents also, as I told you, because they are in a closed group in a high risk. Then the microbiologists who are routinely exposed to the isolates of this Nigeria. Military recruits, they are to be given. And the movers, all these, some of these are starting from the alphabet M for you to remember. And the persons who travel to the countries in which it is hyper-endemic or epidemic. Many times, you know, students come to us that I am going to this country and it is mandatory. If it is mandatory for that country, why it is mandatory? Because US doesn't want that the carriers from India should give meningitis there. And that is why we are given this vaccine. Anyway, remember, there are some parents who come to you to take a fitness certificate. What I do is that usually they are our regular patients. So I say that so and so is physically fit. But while going, I tell them, because usually they do not pay us for the fitness certificate, I tell them that meningitis epidemic has been there in earlier years. So it is better that you protect yourself before you go there, so that at least I get some money from recommendation. So remember, this fitness certificate, always tell them about this. Of course, this is between you and me. Okay. Then in case if there is altered immune system, for example, patients who have asthenia, then you can give that. And anyone eligible for the vaccine. See, meningitis can affect anybody. And from Namo to Pramo, anyone. Because Namo is also moving from country to country. And Pramo is also moving from pedicon to Meghalaya and Tripura. So you have to give it to everybody. And aeroplane travel. You don't know who is sitting next to you. Even the air hostess who is there, and if you have a close contact, she is also moving from country to country. She may transmit Nigeria to you. So, you know, you have to remember that anybody can give you meningococcal. It is up to you. So you decide whether to take or not. Anyway, and why to give? Because pneumococcus and H influenzae. Now the meningitis vaccine is already there. This is the third important cause of acute bacterial meningitis. So we have to be alert. The incidence is low, but with serious complications and high case fatality rate, we have to be alert. And IAP recommendation, as I told you, very wise recommendations on the invasive meningococcal disease. Earlier, minimum age was 2 years, but now from the previous recommendation, currently minimum age has come to 9 months. And for the high risk children or the area, 2 doses are recommended, one at 9 months and second one after 3 months. Okay. Minimum age of vaccination has been lowered down from 2 years to 9 months. And 9 months to 23 months, 2 doses at least 3 months apart. and between 2 years and 55 years you can give a single dose. So remember, this is very, very important. So to summarize, meningococcal disease is a life-threatening condition. A, B, C, Y, W, X are the main strains causing the disease. Strain distribution changes according to the continents. For A, C, Y and W, polysaccharide and conjugate vaccines are available. So what are the key takeaway messages? That invasive meningococcal disease, it is hard to diagnose in the early stages, but even it is harder to manage at a later stage. And meningococcal vaccine is a vaccine which is good to offer. And preparedness is the key to mitigate the damage caused by the disease. So you please use your own consensus and decide whether to give the meningococcal vaccine to the child or the adolescent in front of you or not. I am thankful to Dr. Sumit from Sanofi and Dr. Prasad Kulkarni from Serum for giving me valuable input while preparing this presentation, and thank you for a patient listening. Thank you.
Disease burden in children below 5 years of age. An estimate shows that about 1,05,000 children die every year in India, while 5,60,000 children suffer from the episodes of pneumonia. So invasive disease, which leads to more hospitalization and deaths, while non-invasive disease contributes towards the increase in morbidity due to meningococcal disease. When you are evaluating various vaccines, the big question is that how to estimate the public health impact of the PCV vaccination. First thing, its effectiveness against the vaccine types. Second thing, along with that, vaccine-related serotypes. Then also changes in the non-vaccine serotypes need to be monitored because they have an impact on the PCV vaccination. And the decrease in the proportion of the disease due to vaccine type as well as vaccine-related type. So globally it has been agreed that impact can be evaluated against overall burden of the IPD, that is invasive pneumococcal disease. So if we look at both the vaccines in various countries, PCV10 as well as PCV13, and if you plot a graph of the pre-vaccine era and what has happened after the launch of the vaccine, you can see there is a substantial decrease in the vaccine type, and also there is a significant decrease in the vaccine-related serotypes. Though there is some increase has been seen in some age groups due to non-vaccine types. We did a study in India, which is a serosurveillance study, to see what are the various serotypes prevalent in India, that is Alliance for the Serosurveillance of the Invasive Pneumococcal Disease, ACID. And what we have seen is shown over here. And you can see the brown, the red color shows the PCV13 except for the red color, rest of all are covered by PCV13, while the orange flower is covered by the Symphlorix. And you can see below down the percentage coverage, Symphlorix 72%, 5% of the serotypes, and PCV13 73.9. So more or less similar coverage in India. The rest of the world, the proportion may be different. So therefore, either PCV10 or PCV13 can be suitable for the in India. And let us see some global supranational recommendations also. For example, WHO says, that is the strategic advisory group of experts says, there is no evidence of net impact of the disease. While IVAC as well as PAHO, because in PAHO why it is important, because in Latin American countries, most of the countries have Symphlorix in their national immunization program. So all these bodies have said that both vaccines are at par and there is no inferiority between one vaccine towards other. So therefore, to summarize, Symphlorix, which has been sold 72 crore doses committed to Gavi, and already we have sold about 35 crore doses, and it has been chosen into 39 countries for national immunization program, and out of which 14 countries are for European Union. And recently some countries have changed their vaccination schedule from PCV13 to PCV10, for example Quebec as well as New Zealand as well as Sweden. So to summarize, there is a high burden of pneumococcal disease is there in India. Need to consider effectiveness against the vaccine types as well as vaccine-related serotypes. Then no demonstrable difference between the two PCVs in the impact on overall IPDs. And what is more important, and take home message should be, need to initiate pneumococcal vaccination for all eligible children. Thank you.
Now I ask Dr. Gautam to come and present about PCV 13.
20 was a regular सलमान खान बॉडीगार्ड पूछे थे मार दो हेलो बेटे तू कहाँ हो आमा ये बंटी वाला
Good afternoon everybody, and my name is Gautam, and I take this opportunity to thank the Indian Academy of Pediatrics for giving an opportunity. This is based the topic pneumococcal conjugate vaccines, how they are saving the children of the world. Now before we talk about the world, I would say let's look at our country, India only. Fantastic study, I think Dr. Shakti also made a mention about it. This was a modeling analysis which really put a perspective of pneumonia picture from a country perspective. There are about 36 lakhs episodes of severe pneumonia happening with about 3,50,000 children dying out of pneumonia. And if you look at the pneumococcal component, the number is quite huge. About 1,05,000 children die of pneumococcal pneumonia every year from the country. Not only that, when I look into the meningitis suppressor also, which is one of the root causes what pneumonia is responsible for. It is responsible as per the ICMR study which was published in the May 2018 that about 83% of the cases are because of pneumonia. So pneumonia continues to remain a big problem even from a country perspective. And against this background, we know for the last many years there are two conjugate vaccines available, pneumococcal conjugate vaccines, a 10-valent and a 13-valent vaccine. The difference between the two vaccines is not just the 3 serotypes. I know PCV13 has 3, 6A, 19A additional, but the additional differences based with the carriers which are being used in the vaccine, where PCV10 uses 3 different carriers and the 13 uses CRM197. The third difference between the two vaccines obviously is the concentration of antigens that go into making the vaccine. If you look at PCV13, which uses slightly higher amount of concentration of antigens compared to PCV10, which is being used in the vaccine. So what I am going to touch base over the next few minutes is the surveillance for PCV13, what has been the global impact, and the rest of the few things which I will talk as I move on. As rightly mentioned, how the vaccine works finally we come to know from its usage in the community. And when it comes to PCV13, we have surveillance data available for most of the countries in the world, whether it is for IPD, pneumonia, otitis media, antibiotic resistance, herd effect, the vaccine works, be it in the country like US, all the way to European countries and South Africa. Not only that, it works against the serotypes in the vaccine, but the additional 3 serotypes, 3, 6A and 19A, which are covered by the vaccine, there has been significant protection with the vaccine as per different studies which have been reported from different countries in the world. Again, we have to move to the other parts of the world where the vaccine is today being used widely, especially the third world countries or the Gavi countries where either 10 or a 13 is used. And I am quite sure over the next few years we are going to get data from all these countries which show the impact of both the vaccines in the communities where it is being used. I would like to next touch on the recommendations from today's perspective because it has become very important for driving a vaccine program across the community and across the country. And I would like just take a moment to talk about vaccine committee recommendations from different countries. Country like France in the year 2018 or UK in 2017, the Japan in the year 2016, Denmark 2016, they all talked about recommending the usage of PCV13 based on their serotype prevalence data and their concern whether what would happen if you tend to use the vaccine. Even countries like Hong Kong way back in 2011, they went for PCV13. New Zealand was one of the countries which had a dwindling. They started with PCV 7, then they moved into PCV 10, then they replaced 10 with 13, and again from 13 with 10. So the country had their own problems or concerns with that. But one thing what they acknowledge is that we are shifting from a 13 to 10, but at the same time we know that there is going to be a small loss of health benefits. But even today they are recommending 13 for high risk children in their community. And then there are various reputed international vaccine bodies which are talking about the usage of the vaccine, talk about the WHO recommendation. Please note, the WHO recommendation which was published last year, they did mention certain statements about both vaccines having substantial impact against vaccine IPD, pneumonia. But we have to look into the holistic aspect of this publication. Please go and read the publication. It does mention that the vaccine works in communities where they are used. That means the 10 will work against the 10 serotypes where it is used in that country, whereas the 13 has shown effect against the 13 serotypes used in the country. Not only that, they gave statements around what you say, one dose versus a 2-dose catch-up schedule. Now PCV 13, they made a mention about 90 day having additional benefits in the population. The IVAC paper also talked about a comparable effect, but at the same time, if you analyze this 163-page document, it has given benefits for both the vaccines, a 13-valent as a 10-valent and a 10-valent vaccine, where it says where you need to use the 13 and where you need to use the 10-valent vaccine also. The PAHO, yes, they came out with a publication way back in 2016 where they made a strong statement saying that there is no evidence of superiority for one vaccine against the other. Also, it doesn't mean that the one vaccine is inferior to the other vaccine, but they had their estimate based on the Latin American countries. Today there are about 33 Latin American countries, but 23 out of those countries are using PCV 13 into their national immunization program.
You have to finish it fast.
Yeah, just one more minute. And yes, when it comes to India, I think standing here I am proud enough to say that PCV 13 as per the National Technical Advisory Group immunization has recommended PCV 13 is the national immunization program in the 5 states, and one more state has taken this vaccine to their program. The national and the international recognition, I think today PCV 13 is included in about 120 NIPs across the world, with 116 countries having exclusivity. And there are certain countries which are using both PCV 10 and PCV 13, Canada being an example, where a Conjugate province is using a PCV 10. And going ahead, I would like to sum up by saying that when it comes to India, we are staying in this country, India. There has been a systematic literature review published in 2017.
Summarize, just 10 seconds. Just summarize.
Systematic review which talked about a 10% average difference between the two vaccines. There is this ICMR study which is talking about an 18% difference between the two vaccines. But the strong message I want to give here, this is my last slide, PCV 13 is the only vaccine which is today used across age groups, and in India recommended for 6 weeks to 5 years, from 6 years to 17 years, and more than 50 years across the world. So thank you very much for patient hearing.
We heard about PCV 10, we heard about PCV 13, and the aim is not to pitch these vaccines against one another, but the aim is to have a little more education regarding the PCV vaccine. I think the title given is very, very good. Both of them are saving the children all over the world. And, I'll discuss 2 or 3 very important points which are very important to a practitioner, and they are, I'm just summarizing a pneumococcal disease. I think both the speakers were very keen to tell about their product, and this part has been missed. See, pneumococcal disease is either invasive or it's mucosal, 2 parts. Now, invasive diseases, when there is an infection in the blood, and it is causing bacteremia, meningitis or pneumonia. The mucosal diseases, you have a nasopharyngeal carriage, and it sometimes causes otitis media or pneumonia. So this mucosal disease, to summarize. Now, the practical aspect. Once you want to diagnose an invasive disease, how you diagnose? You diagnose by culture. You diagnose by having a sensitivity and you come to know resistance agony. you can do further subject these serotypes and find out which serotypes are there. So I have a huge advantage in invasive disease. But this advantage suddenly disappears in mucosal disease. Now mucosal disease में cultures की limitation है. I cannot know the serotype, I cannot know the resistance. और अगर मुझे करना ही है तो करने का क्या तरीका है कि I can put the needle in the lung and take out the fluid in pneumonia, particularly in the pneumonic region, and then find out which bug is there. So ethically, I won't be allowed to do this in community acquired pneumonia. Similarly, otitis media में अगर bug पता करना है, I should put the needle inside the ear and take out the secretions and then do a culture. Again, ethically not permitted. So it means mucosal disease में हमें पता करना कि वैक्सीन कितना काम कर रही है, मुश्किल काम है. But अगर blood infection है, I can do sensitivity tests, I can know yes, this is working or not. So there's a big difference between the two. Now mucosal disease is a much bigger spectrum. And invasive disease, although very severe, is a smaller spectrum as compared to, smaller in number as compared to mucosal disease. So these are the basic differences. So I'll first discuss the invasive disease and then I'll go on to the mucosal disease. If you really want to know how mucosal disease को assess करेंगे कि वैक्सीन काम कर रही है कि नहीं कर रही है, तो उसका बेस्ट मेथड होगा कि I know what is the background rate of pneumonia. Then I start introducing the vaccine in the community और find out कि community में कितना pneumonia कम हो. So that's the only way. So I need to have a good field study data. Only then I will come to know how this vaccine is working. Same with otitis media. You know a background rate, what is the otitis media incidence. Then you introduce the vaccine and after 2-3 years find out कि society में कितना otitis media कम हो गया. So this is difference between the two. Now I will discuss the invasive part. Now I like to have surveillance data from my friend Dr. Sanjay. There is a lot of surveillance data. Now 2 more studies have come, ICMR study, Vedor study. Now what is your sort of data available to tell me how common these serotypes are and which are the serotypes and what's the difference in coverage?